This is a CBS News special report, the flight of Apollo 10. Reporting from CBS News Apollo headquarters, Kennedy Space Center, correspondent Walter Cronkite.
Good afternoon from the Kennedy Space Center. Well, man's second voyage to the moon is well underway. A beautiful launch from here at 12:49 at noon, Eastern Daylight Time. That was just 2.5 hours ago. And now the Apollo command ship is on its second orbit of the Earth. It's over Australia, and in a very short while from now, it should be firing to go into translunar trajectory, get on the way to the moon itself. It's making these 2 orbits of the Earth to check out all of the command systems aboard the ship, and they all so far have been reported in good shape with one minor exception. There is a faulty auxiliary cooling unit in the command ship, but that is no constraint against going into the lunar orbit, it is believed, and very shortly the go will be given, and they will fire off the 3rd stage of the Saturn rocket, to which they are still attached. It will fire off with 225,000 pounds of thrust and push them up to a speed of almost 25,000 miles an hour, which is adequate to escape the Earth's gravitational pull, put them into a flight that will take them close enough to the moon to be captured by the moon's gravitational pull. And then they'll go into orbit around the moon, and that will come on Wednesday. The orbital velocity right now is 17,158 miles an hour, we have been told. They're in an orbit 123 miles by 109 statute miles, and that ignition of the engine for translunar injection will come at 3:22, which is just 5 minutes from now. They will add 7,117 miles per hour to their velocity and achieve then a velocity of 24,275 miles per hour. It's quite a jolt they'll be getting from that engine when they do go into translunar trajectory. They'll speed up by almost 10,000 feet per second. And they will finally, and that burn will go for 5 minutes and 43 seconds. So it really is quite a acceleration as they begin the translunar trajectory. The flight has gone exceedingly well, as we say. The launch went exactly on time this morning at 12:49, and it was a beautiful launch. For those of you who were with us and saw it, no problems at all with the astronauts reporting that it was a fantastic sight. They're the most excited astronauts we've had in a long time, although it's the most experienced crew we've ever put up. Tom Stafford has had 2 flights in the Gemini, and John Young has had 2 flights in Gemini, and Eugene Cernan had 1 flight in Gemini. But even so, their enthusiasm was clear as they said it was fantastic, just fantastic, a great ride. Oh boy, should you see that. Bill Stout and Leo Krupp, test engineer at North American Rockwell in Downey, California, can tell us what's going to happen as they fire off this 3rd stage engine and go into translunar trajectory. Gentlemen?
Walter, Leo was just telling me that even though they're hurtling through space and have been weightless for a time, that firing you talk about is going to make quite a change in the feeling inside the cabin. What'll it be like, Leo?
Well, Bill, for the last 2.5 hours, the crew has been in a weightless or 0G condition. And as soon as they ignite the S4B, or the S4B is ignited by the ground signal, they will experience an acceleration, which will be just like you're sitting in your chair right now, about a 1G acceleration. So for 5 minutes and 22 seconds while the S4B is firing, they will be back in almost an Earth environment again in the cabin. As soon as the thrust is terminated, however, they'll go right back into the 0G or the weightless condition. And they will be in this condition then for the rest of the trip to the moon, except for the short periods when they may be firing their thrusters for mid-course corrections.
But in effect, it's a return to that feeling of gravity, almost a return to Earth for a moment there.
For about 5 minutes and 22 seconds, they'll be back to approximately a 1G condition. Now, as soon as the burn is completed, Tom Stafford is going to swap seats with John Young. John Young right now is in the center couch, and Tom Stafford is in the left couch.
And he'll do almost all the flying from here on in this mission, right?
That's right.
Walter?
Right after the translunar injection, then, Now, that coming at 3:22, 2 minutes from now. We will then have the transposition and docking, the command module separating from the rest of the booster and turning around and getting the lunar module there in the nose of the third stage, pulling it out, and then they're on the way to the moon alone. CBS News color coverage of the flight of Apollo 10 will continue in a moment. That transposition takes place at 3:48 this afternoon, and at that time, too, it is expected that Tom Stafford will turn on the color television camera for our first color television from space, a look at that exciting transposition and docking, the first critical maneuver of the mission since they've been in Earth orbit, and perhaps we'll get a look back at Earth from around 10,000 miles up. It should be pretty exciting. Transposition docking should be taking place just about now. Let's listen to Mission Control in Houston as they report what's going on out there in space.
Booster engineer says the Saturn is go.
Right on time. Roger, copy. Fuel lead will start. We're good. Acceleration. Roger. Light on. Roger. We're burning. Roger, burning. We're on the way. Roger, we confirm.
That's it. The third stage fired. Now, if it keeps firing for 5 minutes, a little over.
10, Houston, your S4B looks good.
We'll boost that speed to
Looks good.
24,275 miles per hour for a 3-day trip to the moon. The second spaceship is on the way to the moon.
— 26,400 feet per second velocity now.
Hello, Apollo 10, Houston, in 1 minute, you're looking great.
Roger,
1 minute, everything looks good on board.
It's Tom Stafford. Cool, matter-of-fact voice from these skilled test pilots, now undergoing the greatest test of their career.
Roger.
Velocity 27,500 feet per second.
That's about 3/4 of the velocity they need, or roughly 20,000 miles an hour. They need 24,275 miles an hour. They started out at 17,400.
You're looking great.
Roger. If the S4B third stage shut down at this point, the spacecraft would continue into a high elliptical orbit around the Earth.
Way to watch the sunrise. Roger.
That was Gene Cernan. — 29,000 feet per second.
Who's up at G? Roger, copy, Tom.
Tom Stafford reporting 3/4 of 1G.
1G is Earth gravity. That is the weight of a body on Earth.
And Houston coming up 3 minutes. Trajectory looks great. 3 minutes, everything looks good, Charlie.
Beautiful, beautiful communications.
Apollo 10, Houston, we got a predicted cutoff 2 plus 39 plus 10. 2 plus 39 plus 10.
They should be emerging about now from the...
Well, right into the sun here. Right.
from the dark side of the Earth, and then in their translunar trajectory, they will be in full sunlight the entire trip. That means that on the sunny side of the spacecraft, it'll warm up to 280 degrees Fahrenheit.
31,000 feet per second velocity.
On the shadow side of the command ship, to minus 280 degrees, and so that they don't boil away.
Altitude 123 miles.
Mighty saying go. The S4B's looking great.
Roger, Houston. 10 here looks good on board.
So they don't fry on one side and freeze on the other. They set up a circular motion of the spacecraft, 1 revolution per hour, so that it turns at about the rate of the minute hand of a clock.